Hello, fight fans. Seattle Mike Fights with Friends. Everybody, please hit that like button or I will tell Mike Perry to go talk to your parole officer. Make sure you're subscribed and don't forget to ring that bell so you're notified whenever I drop a new video or go live like this Sunday for Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. I will be the first to admit, guys, when Jake Paul entered the boxing world in January of 2020, I didn't think that I would ever be covering a Jake Paul match. I didn't think I would be doing a video talking about it seriously, and I definitely didn't think I would be doing a fight companion for it like I am doing once again, for him on Sunday. Jake Paul has gained my respect as a boxer, and he's gained a little more respect from me actually as a person. First, let's talk about as a boxer. He came into this, his first fight in January of last year, and he was fighting a fellow YouTuber, a British YouTuber. And I went back actually and watched that fight today. Jake was very dominant in that fight, as he has been in all three of his fights. One of the things I noticed, though, is he was not fighting like a YouTuber in that first fight. He already had the boxing stance down. His footwork still had a long ways to go, but he threw proper punches, and he put the torque on his punches. He knew how much hip to put into the punches, which is big. That shows me that he had been working hard. He was taking this seriously. Then he goes in there. He faces an athlete against Nate Robinson. I mean, of course, the guy's a former basketball player, another guy who had never had a combat fight in his life. Jake Paul mops the floor with him. Easy knockout. And then we get to Ben Askren. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to get interesting. Because I thought Ben Askren, accomplished mixed martial artist. Former Bellator champion, former ONE champion, UFC veteran. And one of the things that he did so well in his MMA career was not getting hit. I mean, this guy, he had really, really good head movement and defense. Of course, he wasn't going to be able to go for a takedown against Jake Paul. And I was so disappointed when I heard that he was coming off of hip surgery. And then when he shows up at the weigh-in, and he's looking more like Homer Simpson than a professional fighter. Nothing against Ben Askren. I like the guy. But, I mean, he looked like Homer Simpson. He did not look like he should be involved in any athletic competition. I mean, maybe not even, ultimate frisbee. It was just embarrassing. And he went in there and he put on that kind of performance. And Jake Paul once again dominated him and mopped the floor with him. That's what makes this fight so hard to predict for me, because I haven't seen Jake Paul really tested. We have not seen him face any adversity inside of the ring. We've heard some things from some sparring partners, some training partners, that this guy's working hard. And as a person, he gained a little respect from me. Sarah Alpar, the UFC fighter, had put up a GoFundMe looking to raise $30,000 for a proper training camp, maybe several proper training camps. She said to get herself at the championship level that she knew that she could be at. Well, ask and you shall receive. Jake Paul and Triller put together $30,000, and they wrote out a check to Sarah Alpar. So even though I know most of it was taking a shot at the UFC and taking a shot specifically at Dana White, I got to give Jake Paul some props, and several times he has spoke out on fighter pay. One of his sparring partners during this camp said he made more in 2 weeks being a sparring partner for Jake Paul than he made in 6 years as a mixed martial artist. I mean, that right there tells you what an issue we have with fighter pay in mixed martial arts. And anybody that's going to be an advocate for that, I'm going to welcome them to the conversation. Jake Paul, he has 15 years the junior of Tyron Woodley, and when he's in there, he looks like it. He's in shape. He's not out there eating pizza, you know, I don't think, unless he's just got super genetics. I mean, I know he's 24, but it's obvious the guy trains. He's muscular. He's in shape. Let's go to the former champion, Tyron Woodley, the chosen one. This is a guy who was a great wrestler, depended on his wrestling a lot as a mixed martial artist, but nothing like Ben Askren. He also proved he could strike, and he faced some incredible strikers during his career. Let's talk about the 2 matches against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, one of the greatest karate strikers in the history of combat sports. I mean, the guy's really, really good. Way better striker than Jake Paul. I mean, just experience. He has such a massive amount of experience. And the way Tyron Woodley, he did the same thing with Darren Till. Darren Till was a former, you know, combat specialist, a former striking specialist before he came into mixed martial arts. And on and on and on. Even to the last fight that got Tyron Woodley cut was against Vicente Luque, a guy whose foray is striking. I mean, he goes in there and, you know, everybody knows what Vicente Luque is going to do. And Tyron Woodley, yeah, he got hurt. His chin wasn't what it used to be. But he took some shots. He landed some shots. Showed the fire that he hadn't shown in a couple matches, you know, against Kamaru Usman, against Gilbert Burns, against Colby Covington. And those 4 losses in a row really damaged the stock of Tyron Woodley. I mean, a former champion being cut by the UFC, it used to be unheard of. It's becoming, you know, more common now. We've seen Junior Dos Santos recently also be cut, as well as Alistair Overeem. Well, Overeem wasn't a champion, but a top contender, had beaten a lot of champions in the UFC. Point being, Tyron Woodley, I don't think he's all washed up. I think he did need some motivation. I don't think he's the kind of guy that you want to fire up. And Jake Paul, you know, somebody in his corner said something to Tyron Woodley's mom, and I think that is going to get him heated up. The mixed martial arts community responded very negatively to that, and that didn't surprise me at all. They asked Jake Paul if he would apologize for what his corner people said. He said, no, you know, we meant it, or whatever, you know, and smart on Jake's part. Smart on Jake's part. It's not the most egregious thing that a fighter's ever said leading up to a fight, by far. Especially in mixed martial arts lately. And, you know, and going back in boxing, you know, with some of the trash talking, you know, from Mike Tyson to Larry Holmes to you name it. There was a lot of guys that talked a lot of trash and said, you know, said a lot worse things than what somebody from Jake Paul's corner said. What Jake Paul's corner did and what he did is going to build a lot of hype, and it's going to sell a lot of pay-per-views. It's going to promote the fight, and it's going to make them both a ton of money. A fight that a lot of people maybe were on the fence or maybe weren't even that interested in the mixed martial arts community. I think a lot of people are now very interested in this. And Jake Paul, he knows he's the villain, and he plays it to a T. I didn't understand this kid at first. I thought, this kid's just a punk. He's out there harassing his neighbors. You know, he has no idea what he's doing in combat sports, and he doesn't belong there. I take most of that back. He does belong there. He's on Showtime Boxing, for God's sakes now, him and his brother. And he has the most to lose in this fight. If Jake Paul loses, especially if he loses badly, I mean, you know, like I said, he's got that Showtime contract to worry about. I don't know how many fights are on that contract, or if it's guaranteed, or if he loses, if they can just rip it up. But at 24 years old, he's got a long time that he can be fighting. Tyron Woodley, he was already done in mixed martial arts. He's going into another foray, and if he loses in boxing, well, I mean, his career was probably over anyways, right? Maybe he would go to bare knuckle boxing. Maybe, he would get signed by Bellator, since Bellator's now with Showtime, and the relationship with Scott Coker and Showtime, and Tyron Woodley's got a good relationship with Scott Coker. You could see if Woodley was excited and interested, Bellator wanting to sign him, and he might put in a couple years over there and get a few good paychecks. It's not like Tyron Woodley doesn't have anything to lose in this. He definitely does. I just think Jake Paul has more to lose and probably more to gain. Definitely more to gain, because he's just going to be looking at bigger and bigger paydays. And if he knocks out Tyron Woodley or even defeats him, he's going to be able to say, hey, I defeated a former champion, a guy that was known for striking. You wouldn't give me any credit for my matches before, even when I beat a former mixed martial artist, because everybody said Ben Askren wasn't a striker, and yada, 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 and this guy's never going to shut up. And that's why the mixed martial arts community is so much behind Tyron Woodley, and I'm rooting for Tyron Woodley. I've always liked Tyron. I think he's a nice guy. He butted heads with Dana White a lot, which probably hurt his career, but he's a very charismatic guy. He's an entertainer. He's going to be okay after this. He's going to be much more in a much better position, obviously, if he wins. I think going back into rap and whatever he's talking about, rap and talking about beating people's asses is going to sound a lot worse when you've lost your last 5 fights than if you are doing it coming off of a knockout. I mean, the fight fans have the shortest memory of probably any sports fans in the world. It's, oh, what have you done for me lately, and nothing else. So at the end of the day, I think the age is going to be a big factor. I think Woodley's going to have to jump on Paul early. One of the things that nobody's talking about, though, I believe, is Jake Paul's defense. This guy hasn't had someone come at him that could actually throw real punches. And Tyron Woodley can definitely throw real punches. And Tyron Woodley's not cutting weight like he did when he was down at 170. Yeah, he's going to be smaller than Jake, but probably not a whole lot weight-wise. He's going to give up 4 or 5 inches. Woodley's only 5'9", but he said he was walking around at 186 when he was defending the welterweight championship. So he's probably going to come in here at 195 pounds. Hopefully very much in shape. So I think Tyron Woodley can win this. I think when Jake Paul starts to eat the hard shots of Tyron Woodley, and Woodley, a motivated Woodley, hopefully gets him up into the corner and clenches with him and, makes this a little dirty and gets him backing up and does a lot of the things that Tyron Woodley can do. I think Jake Paul's just going to see so many things that he hasn't seen before. I think he's going to be overwhelmed. Now, could Paul clip Woodley? Yeah, his chin's not what it used to be, which we've seen against Vicente Luque. But he did take some shots from Luque. It's not Luque went in there and landed 1 or 2 shots and knocked him out. And you're talking about 4-ounce gloves. These guys are going to be wearing probably 12-ounce gloves for the fight. I'm not sure what they actually decided on, but I'm guessing 12-ounce probably at this weight. But I'm going to take Tyron Woodley. I think that Paul sticks around for a while, and I think Woodley is able to keep his cardio up, and if he's able to do that, I think Paul lasts till probably the 6th round, and I am going to say that Tyron Woodley hurts Jake Paul to the body in the 5th and 6th round, and that he knocks him out in the 6th round. If I have to make a prediction, Tyron Woodley by 6th round knockout. Tell me, what do you guys think of this, though? Who do you think will win? Are you interested in this whatsoever? Have you changed your opinion on Jake Paul since he started boxing? And how much do you think Tyron Woodley has left? Do you think he's washed up? Do you think he's got something left in him, and at least enough to get past a former YouTube guy? Let me know down there in the comments. I look forward to seeing you guys this weekend for a big UFC, and of course on Sunday, as I'll be calling this fight live for our Fight Companion. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses next time.